Hey, everybody, welcome on in. It is time. Yes, it is. It is time for another episode of Three Guys Before the Game. Don't look now, but just starting to nose a little bit where we can at least start talking about episode 400. 400's not that far away. This is 372.
Yeah.
372, and it's a good one, folks. Our special guest on this episode of Three Guys Before the Game is Wellington Smith, one of the starting members of West Virginia's Final Four team, Big East Conference champion team. We'll get into that with Wellington coming up here in just a little bit. As usual, Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. They're in Winfield and Odessa, Texas.
Well, they're not really in Odessa.
Nah,
What do you mean they're not?
They have a presence. I don't know if they have a storefront yet.
They're getting there. Three Guys also brought to us by Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. And presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. Download, get started, risk-free bet of up to $1,100 in free bets. We'll tell you how in just a little bit. Spring game is complete for the Mountaineer football team. We'll get into that a little bit later on in this episode. Also, your text questions and comments. Hoppy had another behavioral issue here at work. We might get into that.
Why did you bring that up? I apologize for it, and I admit it was an overreaction.
He's settled down now, but everything's going to be okay. I just think there's counseling that needs to be done. It can correct it all.
I don't doubt that.
Let's jump right in here. Let's get right to our special guest. Why keep him waiting?
Exactly.
We've got our own domestic issues that we need to settle here internally. We'll do that a little bit later. Please welcome to the program, Mountaineer standout Wellington Smith. Wells, thanks so much for spending some time with us, and appreciate you coming on to the show. Everything good?
Everything's going well. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's been some time since we last chatted.
Well, I'll tell you this, dude, a little bit different than our last guest. I mean, you seem to be in a nice, quiet place right now. In our last episode, Jarrett Brown, the former Mountaineer quarterback, was giving a haircut to a client while he was doing the interview.
First ever.
First and last. And by the way, for the record, it'll be the last. We'll get into that a little bit later, but it would be the last time that will.
Thank goodness Wellington isn't like a running a chainsaw right now or like a lumberjack.
No, he was respectful. He told us, he said, "Look, I can't do it at 12:30. I can do it at 1 o'clock." And so we said, "Sure, we'll wait on you." And so it worked out really well. So
I appreciate you guys waiting. It really means a lot.
No, man, seriously.
Yeah, I'm definitely not giving anybody a haircut.
No, that's a good thing. Who, by the way, when you would get your hair cut here in Morgantown, where would you go back then?
So it was different back then because we just students were doing it, random students. So we go, and every once in a while we go go Fairmont, we go somewhere else, but Fairmont place to close down. Buildings would move. It's like, I guess we can't go get a haircut.
Yeah.
Now I go on a weekly basis.
Oh, do you?
Once a week. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
See, now that's nice. See, that's almost like, that's like man care right there, right? That's like man care.
Gotta look your best.
Yeah.
Did you negotiate like a bulk rate with that? You get a special rate?
So I they probably should go towards that, but I did not. It's $30 every week.
Every week.
But
so 30, 60. Let's see.
time.
Yeah. So 30, 60, 90, 120. So that's 12. That's 120. So that's $1,440 a year. $1,440 a year is $1,400 more than Hoppy spends on his haircuts a year. So there's a little bit of a symmetry between that. Yeah. So last time we chatted, we were in the indoor build, or the indoor. Why do I always call the basketball practice facility the indoor building?
It is indoors.
It is
You've
indoors,
right.
but like it's the practice. I always put the indoor in front of the practice, and it's obviously
as opposed to their outdoor practice
because
facility.
of football. They call the football the indoor practice facility. So the indoor basketball practice facility. I always screw that up. Anyway, so we were there several weeks ago. It was in season. and you had your daughter, and she was hooping, and she was burning up the nets, and that was good to see. So first off, our fans would love, and listeners would love to know, just give us an overview family-wise. How many? You got 2, right? And where you're at and what you're doing.
Yeah, so I have 2 girls. Still have my wife. She stuck around, which is great. We actually celebrated our 9-year anniversary in May, Memorial Day weekend. I have, again, 2 girls, 6 and 2. My 6-year-old is just an athlete, and she really enjoys just getting after it. One of the main reasons why she wanted to go to the school she's going to now was because she wanted to see girls that look like her, but 2, she wanted to realize the girls that look like her, how athletic they are. So,
right.
So verbatim, which was her answer. So she's an athlete. She likes to compete. She cries when she loses, which is awesome. But I got to explain that losing is part of the game, and you got to be a good loser. But yeah, she's active. My 2-year-old, she wants to be just like her older sister, but more so is a princess and wears dresses to her soccer and basketball games, and is a dancer. So she's, again, at 2 years old, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what lane should she be in? And she's more towards that girly lane, which is perfectly fine.
That's fine. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. They all find their lane eventually. I'm looking at your numbers here in your career, and 07 through the 10 season, and obviously the 10 season was a great year. Will never be forgotten here. And I think, like, if the Final Four team was a 5-person band, then you were the guy in the band that did not get all of the face time as the others did. But if you talk to the other guys in the band and the coaches, they would go like, "No, man, that was the ingredient." That was the special ingredient. Kind of, I don't want to say
was
Beatles.
Was he the bass player then?
Yeah, he was like, people always used to take shots at Ringo. People used to take shots at Ringo and the Beatles all the time. Oh, he's not that good of a drummer. And then you hear from the other guys, John and Paul and George, and they'd say like, dude, he was the one that turned the whole thing around. You talk to Hugs, and they say your ability to be an undersized center allowed them to switch everything 1 through 5, and then the development that you showed as you grew and just became an absolutely essential piece of that team. You look back on it, that was a good career, man. That was a fun, good career, the kind of way they're supposed to play out.
No question. Yeah. I mean, I wish I would have heard that same encouraging words from him when we were playing. But that seems never the case, right? No, I mean, that team was before its time, right? I think when you look at today's, even NBA, you look at the Golden State Warriors and the more successful teams, how they're able to switch everything on defense, how they're able to stretch the floor with their 3-point ball. Everybody's able to bring the ball up the floor. I mean, that team was definitely before its time. And shoot, while Demarcus Cousins is still trying to find a journeyman in the NBA, and still trying to find his role and way, like, unfortunately, like the centers of yesterday when we were playing are now becoming, I wouldn't say obsolete, but it used to be, we need the 7'5" guy to play. Right now, like now we need the 6'8", 6'9" guy to just be able to guard and defend bigger guys and be able to do his job on a consistent basis, just be able to shoot the 3. So it was definitely a team before its time, and awesome career from a team perspective. Of course, everybody would love to score more, but the coaches didn't really rely on me to do that. Wanted me to defend and be that glue guy, which I was more than happy to do.
You played in 140 games. 100, you know that? 140.
That's a lot.
I mean, you played in 30 as a freshman, or your first year of eligibility, then 37, 35, 38 your last year. 140 games. You realize that? Yeah. That's a ton, man.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I didn't realize that was that many games. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. But I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Did you? And I know you got hurt when you went to Japan, and you got a foot injury. Did you play through injuries at WVU?
Yeah. So Hugs used to say, "Are you hurt or you injured?" Or something around that. And and he also used to mention his guys. I can't wait to get my guys. And I'm like, that's all I was. If I'm not your guy, I want to be your guy. Like, what do I need to do? I definitely did play through injuries. So my last 2 years, I had a stress fracture in my shin. My junior and senior season, it's just overwork, right? And I think just putting on a lot of weight to be able to defend those bigger guys in the Big East Conference. I couldn't jump off my left leg my last 2 seasons, last 2 years, and realistically, I couldn't jump off it when I was playing in Japan either. So to compound everything that we were doing, I had a stress fracture in my shin, a stress fracture in my foot, and the same leg. It was tough. So when I got the stress fracture in my foot, I was like, all right, I've been through this. I'll take 4 months off, come back, play 6 games. But then when I refractured it, I was like, man, forget this. I can't go through this again. Mm-hmm. And that's why I decided to move forward.
Let's jump back a little bit here, Wells, before we move forward. And you said a couple different times here about Hugs and the transition from Beilein to Hugs. And I don't think I've ever had this particular conversation with you, but I can picture this as if it happened yesterday, and it still stands out to me to this day. And it revolves around your parents for a second. So let's go back to the 2008 season NCAA tournament against Duke over in Washington. So Hugs there in his first year, and timeout was called during that game, and you guys come to the sidelines, and we were across the floor from the benches, but it was fairly quiet at this time. And Hugs was fairly animated in his discussions with you about what he thought you should have been doing. And it was one of those first kind of Hugs moments where you went, oh, okay. And I'm sitting there, and your parents are directly in the row behind me. And I remember I got anxious. I got a little uncomfortable thinking, oh, my God, what are Wellington's parents going to think their son's getting absolutely blistered here from Hugs? In year one, oh, my God, what's going to happen here? So the timeout ends, and they come back out on the floor, and there's kind of some silence. And all of a sudden, your dad just breaks out in the biggest Let's Go Mountaineers chant of the season. And I thought, okay, well, there we go. Everything's good. Everything's good with that. So explain that a little bit, just what you guys went through with the transition, the difference in coaching styles, getting used to Hugs early, conversations maybe with your parents when that happened. What do you remember about that time?
Yeah, so when Beilein left, it was definitely a traumatic experience for all of us, not just myself, but also the other freshmen that came on board. We had 8 freshmen at the time, a couple that were walk-ons, and it was a tough experience to have a guy say he's not going to leave. Because I basically put him through an interview and asked him a number of different questions. And one of the questions was, would you ever leave? And of course, he's going to say no. Again, all these guys are salesmen, and rightfully so. But then when it actually happened, it was tough. So, and then realizing that myself, Deshaun, Joe, Cam Thurman, Johnny West, and a couple other guys, basically made a pact saying like, all right, we're not going to leave. We're going to stick around, see what happens, and it becomes Bob Huggins, and I'm looking back at. I'm remembering Coach Huggins' interviews, his games at Cincinnati. I'm like, I don't know if I can play for this guy. This might be tough. I didn't sign up for this. And then, but again, going back to the kind of conversation that we've had internally with the guys on the team, and just saying, we just got to play through this. It's not going to be more complicated than what we just did with Coach Beilein. He likes athletes. I'm a pretty good athlete. Let's see where this thing goes. And it worked out pretty well. And with my family and I, we had conversations about, transferring and leaving. But, at that point, it was like, I only played in, so many games and only did so much, right? So where would I go? What would be the process? And if I were to go somewhere, I'd probably have to go a level down. And would that team make it to the NCAA tournament? Have an opportunity to win a national championship. So, individually, I probably would have had if I were to go to somewhere smaller, I probably would have had a little more successful career in terms of numbers. But from a team perspective, my dad asked me this a couple of times. Would you rather have a Big East tournament win or a Final Four? I'm like, oh, going to a Final Four is pretty impressive. So, we had some definitely internal discussions, but it was definitely a trying time. I will say that.
We often talk about that transition that took place between John Beilein. So as a freshman, you played 5 minutes a game, and you guys win the NIT. And we always talk about how weird that night was, because you go out and you win the NIT, but at the very same exact moment, you find out that John's leaving. And so it was just like this, you couldn't even celebrate. It was just kind of, right?
Yeah.
And then so here comes Hugs. And as you said, your perception of him was loud and big, and you're going like, I don't know. But you guys, Joe and Day and you and Cam and Johnny and those guys, you said, okay, we're gonna stick together. When did you think that, okay, this is a good decision that I'm staying put? How much interaction had you had with Hugs to the point where you go like, I think we could be all right here?
I think when he first walked in with his Jordan brand, sweatsuit on, and started in at 6'5", I didn't realize how tall he was. And, just a presence, right? Like, it's like, I'm here. And then we started playing, and we were competing. Like, we want him to realize every single one of us has an attribute that we can use to win games and to win a national championship one day, or at least get to a Final Four. I think that's what that open run is when I realized, all right, we can. This was the right decision to stick around. Like, this was the right decision to want to play for a guy that has experience winning, knows what getting to the NBA is all about, or just knows what professional looks like. So that's why I knew that open run, that one or two open runs where he was impressed with my athleticism and the way that I was doing things, and he was impressed with Joe Alexander, and it's like, well, that guy is, if I could be like that guy one day, so I think that open run that we had, our first one, was really telling to me, at least to see that it was a really good decision for us to stick around.
What was Huggins' go-to statement, comment when he was getting on you? What did he call you, if you can repeat it? And
I can't say it here.
What was the most oft said thing by Huggins to you when he was getting on you?
I mean, it would be around being soft, and it'd be, I used to call my mom and was like, Mom, you wouldn't realize how many curse words you put together at one time. and the new ones that I learned while he was going at me or Jamie Small again or whoever. Like, again, he's used to a different kind of athlete, right? He's used to a guy that needs basketball in order to thrive. And to move forward. A lot of our guys, we love playing basketball. We didn't need it, and so that's there's some of the things he would call me. It'd be better to mention, but it'd be hard to mention it in this scene. But it was definitely out there. It was definitely animated. I will say that. There was one time I tell a story to a couple of guys that I coach now. There was one time we were playing Syracuse in the Big East tournament, and Hugs just getting on me. Oh my goodness! And I'm like, Hugs, either just take me out the game, or just stop. Like, because at this point, it's just noise. It's still on me. Doesn't take me out. We end up losing, and at that point, he sees I'm just done. Like like mentally drained. Physically drained. And on top of that, this is my junior year. On top of that, I'm not telling him that I'm hurt. I'm not telling him that I have a stress fracture in my shin. Again, I was able to jump off my left leg. So on top of playing with one leg, I'm not saying a word. So he comes over to me, and in Hugs fashion, picks me up, right? Because again, I'm tears running down my eyes, not just because we lost, because I'm just like done. And picks me up, gives me a big bear hug, tells me how much he needs me and how much the team needs me to be successful. and the rest was history. But yeah, we've had our fair share of spats going back and forth with one another.
Yeah,
and to that extent, that's how he knows that you care.
Yeah, that's interesting. So he did not know that you had the stress fracture.
No, and on top of that, I didn't want to say anything. Right? I mean, that was one of the toughest days. Practicing 3 hours a day, every single day. I was like, man, I can't redshirt. I can't do this. I can't do this for another year, right? So the redshirt, because I knew I had a stress fracture at the beginning of the year. So at that point, I wasn't going to put myself in a position where I was going to have to sit out. And then just again, I didn't need basketball life. I didn't want to start my life at 24, 25, just to get out of school.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I was mentally, what I was thinking.
Not to belabor the point, but I mean I know your parents, and my perception is that your house growing up was pretty chill, and we talk about just the very aggressive motivation, can we call it, that Hugs uses. I would think like Joe, that was just another day in the office for Joe. And for days
from Missoula.
From Missoula, that was just, okay, I grew up in this. And Deshaun, same thing, right? And Cam, just because he was so country, probably whatever. But for you, I would think that it had to be an absolute mouth opener.
I mean, my mom likes to get after it. My dad is more like me, right? I'm pretty relaxed, reserved. But my mom, I mean, when I'm relating to her some of the things that he was saying, she was saying, "Oh, like he called you, yeah, C's and B's," and I'm like, and she's saying it, and I'm like, well, yeah, like how'd you know about that? So yeah, I mean, she likes to get at it, but again, I'm the youngest of three. My sisters are 10 years ahead of me. One's 10 years, one's 4. So when I was in high school, they were there out the house.
Yeah.
So
okay, I got you.
Yeah. So it was relatively chill when I was around.
You mentioned coaching right now. So what are you into right now? What are you doing?
Yeah. So my 9 to 5, I'm selling cybersecurity. Been doing it for the past 2.5 years. I've always been in some form of tech sales, whether it's sports tech. Or again, right now, cybersecurity. And then my basically 5 to 9 is my passion project, which is AAU basketball, clinics, camps, and running a business, along with everything I'm doing for my family and so on and so forth. So it is it's a lot, but so rewarding. From coaching the kids to what they're trying to accomplish, playing in college one day, whether that's Division III or hopefully Division I, having conversations with parents, so on and so forth. It's really rewarding. So I'm living the best of both worlds. I'm having my cake and eating it too, which is great.
All right, I'm going to keep jumping around here like we do on this podcast. I want to go back to the pact you guys made in the locker room when Beilein left before Hugs came in. I think that's really important for people to understand, especially in the day and age that we're in now, where so much of it is just individually based, that you guys bound together, and then ultimately what that turned into, because we see it all the time with these great legacy teams, of which your Final Four team was one. I mean, those of us around during that time will remember that team forever. And I think we sometimes under-talk about the player-driven leadership that's on that team. I mean, you start to go down that roster, Wellington, and you mentioned you dip your toe into coaching as a sideline, but a fun thing that you like to do. But you've got guys like Deshaun that's in it, Missoula that's in it, Darius that's in it, Alex Ruoff that should go into it right now that he's done playing. It's really remarkable when you look down through that roster of the guys that really became leaders in basketball themselves.
Rob Summers,
yeah, he was on the last Beilein roster, right? And Frank, who was on the last Beilein roster. I mean, that's an amazing collection of guys that end up in leadership positions.
Yeah. I mean, which is awesome, and it's only a testament to the coaches that came that mentored us, because they made it cool. They made it fun. They made it exciting to want to be able to impact a young person's life. So it's only a testament to the coach that came before us and put us in a position to want to be able to teach the next one, the next player. I have players now that are figuring out like what they want to do in college, and they're asking me questions. When did I want to become a coach? And I'm like, I didn't really want to become a coach. It kind of just found me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
But that really creates some practical advantages too, doesn't it? I mean, I know it's a famous story by now about Huggs the first year going to you guys and asking about the 1-3-1 and how you implement it. But man, that makes it a lot easier to play when you've got so many guys that come at the game from that standpoint, I would think.
It definitely does. At one point it's, because, you have Missoula and Alex Ruoff that were implementing it for Huggs, the 1-3-1. But when you have leaders like that, and you have a coach who was winning had a number of different wins at that time, so we knew it was going to be a Hall of Famer one day. Having the open mind to be able to ask us about, running a different defense or running he's a defensive coach, so it was pretty eye opening, right? And also some of the things that he was doing. When he wasn't coaching basketball, still reaching out, still getting feedback from the guys, being able to have a conversation with him, being able to go to his house and be able to see, what he does outside of basketball. I mean, it's just he Huggs, Coach Beilein, high school coaches. Everybody has a role in what we're doing now. You guys have a role in what we're doing now. Like it's just. Every person that you meet and you come in contact with, it's part of our story. So, yeah, I'm happy to be able to do what I do. It sometimes gets a little tiring, but it's the nature of the business.
Yeah. You guys did something that will never, ever be duplicated, and that is you won a Big East Conference championship. Not knowing exactly what reorganization and conferences will do going forward, I don't think we'll be back in the Big East, so I think it's pretty fair to say that. And that was one of the great magic moments in Mountaineer basketball history is winning that Big East championship at the Garden. We had so many New York-based area guys that the papers there were calling you the Metro Ears instead of the Mountaineers because we had Newark, New Jersey represented. We had, obviously, you from the state of New Jersey, and you had Devin Ebanks from Long Island City, and you had Truck, obviously, from Brooklyn. You just go back through that list, and there's all of these dudes, Summit, New Jersey, and Brooklyn, New York. Mm-hmm. And they recently, someone posted that video of that night at the Garden on the starting introductions. And the lights go out, and it's as New York can be, and they got that great beat underneath it, and you guys are being introduced. Did you see it recently, or what are your recollections of that moment?
Yeah, I did see it recently. It was pretty cool. They asked Deshaun and I, since we were the captains at the time, what songs we were going to come out to, and they were running through a list. They're like, we both agreed that would be the perfect one to play. There's like big, there's a Biggie song. He's from New York. We're Jersey, New York guys. It kind of made sense. Mm-hmm. That night was so memorable because that was like a culmination of the entire season. Everyone had an impact on that game from, playing aggressive defense to, hitting open shots, to, game winners, right? Like, everything happened the way it was supposed to. And then, unfortunately, the reorg happened. But, man, I miss the Big East. And I'm sure a lot of the people that do blue and gold also miss it as well.
Yeah. That season, you guys won your first 11 games, and we could kind of tell, things were rolling along there. And the Cleveland State game stands out to me. For some reason, we're playing at Cleveland State. Deshaun doesn't even know what the score is. And
per his own admission, you're not making that up.
No, he didn't know the scores. He thought it was, I don't know what he thought it was. He what we were up to, whatever it was. He comes down and he does Deshaun. He just does Deshaun, right? Win the game 80-78, and then that started that whole deal, right? Of this team. This team's a little bit special, and then about what would it be? It's 10 days later, Marquette here. 63-62, where he stops and he spins and he shoots and he scores. And that was kind of like, okay, this is the kind of year it's going to be. And then we get into the Big East tournament, and he does that in those games. And you guys knew each other from the moment that you got here. And I don't know what your relationship was before, but what was in his head? What's in his body that made him the way that he is as far as big-time shot maker?
I mean, I talk to Deshaun now, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if you realize how good you were in college. But he probably is the top, I don't know, 25, top 50 best college basketball players maybe ever played. I'll be interested to see what the list would ever be. But man, at least a senior year. I mean, I would say at least a senior year, he was just remarkable. So I don't know what prompted his emergence. I think it was like, let's look down this list and who's going to do it. So it was like, well, he's good for what he does. He's going to pass the ball to Cam. Well, no, he's good for what he does, right? Well, who scored 40 points as a junior? Well, Deshaun did, right? Like who played every single minute, not every single minute, but like majority of the minutes his freshman season. Right. Well, Deshaun did, right? Like, so it kind of was thrusted upon him to be the guy, and man, he took it and ran with it. I mean, it's just, and everybody had confidence in him to do it. Confidence is an amazing thing when you have it, and he had it, and it showed at every single game winner.
Yeah. Well, how about in Syracuse when you guys beat Kentucky, and he hit a shot and ran down the floor and screamed out, "I am college basketball." Just in case people didn't know, he came down the floor and screamed, "I am college basketball." I mean, you got to have that. You got to have it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely do. You have to have that. You have to have that moxie, that swagger, and Deshaun did, and he had John Flowers, who also had the same swagger, jumping on the scorer's table, doing the Dougie and all this other stuff that was happening at the time. Like it was just, it was fun, man. It was really fun. I wish I could go back to it now. And these guys that are jumping schools, they have no idea what legacy means. The fact that I'm having this conversation with you guys now, and we're 12 years removed, right? Like, who are they going to speak to? What podcast are they jumping on?
Transfer Portal podcast. They'll have a podcast for guys that have played in 4 or more schools. That'll be the show that they're on.
And so it's like, what's the like? And it goes down to like, what's the point? And some of these guys just on the third school or fourth school, like, what are you trying to do? And if you're trying to go to the league, if I'm a GM, I'm looking at you and I'm saying you have never stuck with anything. For me, it's a little bit more enlightening when people move. It's like when people look at your resume and you jump from job to job. Why? You might be the reason. So,
well, and that's part of why.
Tangent there.
That's part of what. No, but that's part of why I mentioned that pact that you guys had and how many of you stayed together. I think is so remarkable. And you're right; it did cement your legacy. And you'll be here on one of these podcasts whenever the people replace all of us. Your legacy will still be intact because of that run. So let's stay on that for a second. Let's talk about kind of that stretch run there that Tony mentioned from the Big East Championship into the Final Four win over Kentucky, and then obviously playing Duke in the Final Four. As you think back, just big picture, what moments or moment stand out to you when you think of that run? What is it that pops into your head first?
Of that entire season?
Or more specifically, the NCAA tournament run. After winning the Big East Championship, the NCAA tournament run up to the Final Four. What stands out there?
Yeah, for me, it's going into the going to the training table, or and doing the training table up in Syracuse. We have Demarcus Cousins, the first ones on the screen, and we're reviewing tape while we're eating. And everybody knows I gotta be able to defend this monster, and that we have to defend this monster, and also the 7 other NBA draft eligible players from Kentucky. So that was the turning moment for us when we were like, all right, let's lock in. And then I think we all realized, maybe Coach Harrison mentioned it, said, guys, these are all freshman basketball players. And that goes without saying when you're looking at a freshman, they're men, right? They have the body types of a grown man. They've only done this once, or we've done it a couple different times. And it kind of goes back to like that underdog role of, now that I'm thinking about the underdog role of what we wanted from our college basketball experience, but also what we were trying to prove to Coach Huggins as well. So we had something to prove to the whole country, and we were able to do it at that point. I think that was a turning moment. Again, for me, it was entering that training table and realizing, okay, let's lock in. And then just going out and producing and finishing off what we started. And realistically, I probably gave Duke some bulletin board material, because I was like, Jesus, this is like winning the national championship, And then we ran to Duke, and that was that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an iconic moment. But I think going back to Hoppy's point initially, as you said, those are all unbelievably talented players at Kentucky who went on to the league. But you played 140 games, and they played that many games. Actually, so that is the difference, and we see that a lot in college basketball. How'd that team beat that team? Well, because that team knows how to play.
But Wells, you guys were in almost a perfect spot, though. You mentioned that underdog mentality, which is perfect not only for West Virginia as a whole, but anytime a West Virginia sports team can take the field as an underdog mentality, it helps. But you were a legitimate number 1 seed. In fact, there was a lot of talk you all got screwed, and I agree with that. You got screwed out of a number 1 seed. But yet, so you come in with the confidence of a 1 seed, the ability of a 1 seed, but with that little bit of a chip here that they didn't give us the 1 seed. So in hindsight, that almost played right into your hands and worked perfectly, didn't it?
It did, because we were a little pissed off. Right? I mean, here we are. We didn't win our league, but we came really close. We won a Big East tournament. We won the preseason tournament where we were in Cali. Like we had a really good year. To you guys' point, I'm still doubtful that we didn't get a number 1 seed. But you know what? Things fall the way they fell, and it all worked out. But yeah, who's to say that maybe if we get number 1 seed, we don't have the story to tell about Kentucky, right? And maybe we have a story to tell about beating somebody else. Maybe we. Like the year before, man, maybe we get trapped in Minnesota or something happens. But yeah, I mean, that was we were pissed off, and it showed. And we rode the wave and the narrative that Hugs created for all of us to go out there and play pissed off, and it all worked out in our favor.
Yeah, I got to ask you one other non-basketball thing here. So you said you're into cybersecurity. So like Hoppy's here and Brad's here and I'm here. So and our listeners, what's the best way we can protect ourselves? I mean, you got a company or something, like what should we have on our computer so we don't get whacked or hacked?
Well, I would say to make sure you don't click on any unnecessary things. Right? Don't click on any links that you don't know of. If you're looking at a link, you should hover over it, because that normally it gives you a synopsis of what it is. Make sure you change your passwords on every other month.
Hoppy. Password 1 doesn't work, Hoppy. Password 1 does not work. Okay, go ahead, Wells. Go ahead.
And to add on to that, right? Just don't use a password 1. Like for the longest time, I had the same password for everything. And now that I'm in this thing, it's like, well, I probably shouldn't use that password. Maybe I should use a phrase with some different icons, right? So there are smart people out there that are protecting themselves, but there are even smarter people that are out there trying to take advantage of people. So it's trying to steal people's identities, trying to steal people's information, money. So yeah, just out there protect yourself, guys. You just can't be clicking just on every link. That's how the everyday person can do it. Can protect themselves. Create a password. Don't click on every single link that comes across your phone and also your email. And just be more aware.
Just be cool. Yeah. That's words to live by. That's words to live by right there, Hoppy.
No doubt about it.
Well, hey, listen, I've gotten this email from a Nigerian prince, and I wonder if I should follow up on that.
Yeah. I tend to stay away from that. Yeah. Well, listen,
did you watch the game last night? That load, Demarcus Cousins is still playing. I mean, he's a load.
He's a load, man. I did watch the game, and he's one. You look back, it's like, golly, some of these guys that we played against, they're either out the league or have 1 year deals. Now Steph Curry is a little bit different, right? But John Wall, he's trying to get back in the league, even though he's still getting paid by Houston or wherever, or Washington, wherever. But some of these guys, Jeff Green is another one that's still playing that we played against.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Demarcus Cousins still going out there. Patrick Pash,
Cousins is still. He's on his second time around with teams.
Yeah.
He's been in some of these teams. He's been in the league so long.
Hey, Wellington, I got a picture. I got a picture at my house of Joe's butt literally sitting on Demarcus Cousins' shins right in the middle of the lane. I mean, just absolutely, and you can almost see the look from Demarcus Cousins, like, what? Who are you, and what are you doing here? That was one of the great. You talk about switching 1 through 5. Okay, Joe, it's your turn. Go get the big boy here. Go get him.
Go have at it, man. Joe was never scared. That guy. Joe and I still talk to this day. We're gonna be in a wedding. One of my buddies is getting married in Colombia, and both of us are part of the wedding party. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
being able to share that moment, and talk through those stories and some of the things that he's doing now, man. Wow.
Yeah,
it's really remarkable how a guy that probably didn't think when he got to West Virginia how much the state would change him. Even me, right? Taking a woman from West Virginia and bringing her up in New Jersey. I'm sure she didn't think she was going to be living in New Jersey for 12 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we are.
You never grew up thinking you were going to marry someone from West Virginia, and she never grew up thinking she was going to marry someone from New Jersey. That's
exactly right.
And that's what happens. I mean, that's what school does. That's what these opportunities do. It's absolutely fantastic. All right, buddy.
No question about it.
Well, listen, my man. Always good to hear your voice. We really appreciate your time, and hopefully we run into each other here soon, and wish you the best with the girls, and look forward. It won't be all that long. She's 6 now. I mean, I don't want to bum you out or anything, but she's less than 10 years away from being recruited here, so off we go. Off we go.
Well, it's funny. She's going to funny story. My mom. So he's done a couple of different things for the past couple of weeks, trying to get her going, or past couple of months trying to get her going, trying to get her endorsement with Nike, because she has this nice caramel skin. She's tall, and she's pretty. She has a pretty smile, and she's gorgeous, and she's
adorable. Yeah.
So she calls my AU coach, who happens to be a Nike affiliated program. She says, Jimmy, I need you to call Phil Knight. I'm like, Ma, Jimmy doesn't know Phil Knight. He's like, no, he knows him. He knows him, and he can put Sloan on the cover of a Nike magazine. I'm like, all right, Ma. She doesn't know. I know, a couple of guys from Nike. I know, so that's one thing. And the other thing is like, hey, I've been sending Sloan's basketball videos to a coach. I'm thinking, all right, whatever, Ma, you've been sending to a coach. So she's been sending her basketball videos to Pam Flowers, John Flowers' mom.
Yeah.
John Flowers' mom, Pam, was an All-American, played at Louisiana Tech.
Yep, national
right?
champ, yeah.
So, yep. So Pam sends him over to her teammate, which just so happens to be Kim Mulkey.
Oh, my.
So this, Kim Mulkey's reaching out to Pam Flowers and saying, wow, this girl's really good. She's, somebody's working with her, yada, yada. And says she should come to our camp at LSU. So, long story short, we're going to a camp in LSU June 6th to the 9th.
Nice. And as we know, LSU's got some funds to spread around, so that's a good spot, Wells. Very good.
Well, let me ask, wait a second.
Very good.
Wait a second. Time out. What's your father-in-law say about this?
Well, so, he was like, wait, does he know, does Kim know that's my granddaughter? so that's the other thing is like, no. He does. I don't think she does.
That's wild.
Now they may have spoke recently because Coach Carey he's now retired, and with that, some of his players are now into the transfer portal, and a couple of them are going to play at LSU.
Oh wow!
So Esmeri and Jasmine are going to go play at LSU next year. So we'll actually likely see Esmeri and Jasmine down in LSU in Louisiana when we're at camp.
Yeah,
small
that's
world,
crazy.
right?
Crazy.
Yeah, no question.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, we'll be following. We wish you the best. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the time.
Good to
guys.
talk to you.
Buddy.
Thanks, Wells.
Take care.
You too.
There he is, Wellington Smith, one of those starting members, captain, 2010 Big East champs, and that Final Four team. Talk about small world, man. Holy cow.
Gosh. He has a great voice, by the way.
Yes, he does.
Great, smooth, resonant, just deep enough.
I hope she gets an offer from Kim Mulkey.
Six
I hope she gets
years
an
old.
6 years old.
offer.
Why not do it? Yeah.
Awesome.
Why not?
With a big bag of cash walking out of there. Here's your camp T-shirt and your ice cream cone, a big bag of cash.
Why not? NIL, man.
Huh? I know. That's what I'm saying.
Some of these NILs are crazy. I saw a thing this week. They said it is not out of the realm of possibility that in the future, SEC quarterbacks will make more per year than the head coach. Think about it.
What happens in the NFL? Why wouldn't that happen? Why wouldn't we get to that point?
That's what they're saying.
Most valuable player on the field, most important position. Everybody goes all nuts over themselves trying to get a quarterback. Why wouldn't that happen?
Get Kirchhoff over there. He's starting to tremor. Got some tremors going.
Well, you ever have a coach where they have a great year, like, oh, they have an NFL quarterback. You have a coach who has a bad year, oh, they don't have a quarterback. So who has more value?
Just saying. What?
It's not in every instance. I mean, in certain instances, who has more value? I mean, the NFL has already defined that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the going rate for a top tier NFL quarterback is now $40 million. If you're not doing $40 million, don't talk to him. $40 million a year, don't talk to him. Per year. So the NFL has figured it out.
Well, maybe. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Comax Business Systems. They happen to be your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. Our guest, Wellington, just expoused upon the importance of being safe when it comes to your computer system. We were talking personal computers and things like that, but Comax goes into businesses and does a complete computer assessment. We like to call it a computer colonoscopy, where they will come in and take a look. Where are you safe? Where are you not safe? They are big enough to deal with anything, and yet they're small enough to be nimble. 24/7 remote support and security. As folks come after you, they can take care. Is your business safe from viruses, malware? Do you need remote cloud computing? Check them out. It's ComaxWV.com. That's ComaxWV.com. Text questions from our listeners in a moment, but first.
I'm not leaving at 2.
Excuse me?
Not leaving at 2. I'd change my plans. I'm in.
What a guy. Huh?
I can change on the fly.
What a nice guy. Once again, just showing how versatile Hoppy is.
Well done.
Yeah. He still feels bad about losing it during his show.
Yeah,
earlier.
I do, actually.
Anyway, spring game final thoughts. Senator, I had 3 people tell me that you were interestingly located within the stadium on Saturday.
What does that mean?
Like, it wasn't like you were sitting in 10 rows back at the 50. Someone said you had taken a position that looked to them as if you didn't want anyone coming near you.
Well, I could see where it could be construed as that. That wasn't the case. I was looking for shade, and there weren't a lot of spots with shade. So I got myself hoppy, went all the way down to the field box on the press box side, all the way down to the far end, closest to the facilities building.
Yeah.
Final box. Went into that box, hopped the wall, and sat on the first seat. That's a tiny row that only has like 4 seats in it. There was 1 seat in total shade. It was perfect. Had a great view. Stayed there until shade came over the rest of the field, and I moved down.
You jumped the field box?
Just like the side wall of the field box.
Yeah, you came over the side.
It's kind of a step. I really didn't have to jump too far.
Okay.
Just kind of stepped up over it. It's a nice location.
What'd you think?
I don't know that I took away a ton, to be honest with you. It was pretty vanilla. Trying to get out of there without any injuries. They didn't run a whole lot. I thought the quarterbacks did what we've said all spring. I thought there were some moments where you went, man, that's a heck of a throw.
Right.
And then I thought there were other moments where you went, oh, that didn't look so good. Receiver-wise, I think one of my biggest takeaways, I thought you saw multiple receivers make big-time 50-50 ball catches at time. Bryce Ford-Wheaton had one. You saw Preston Fox down the sideline with one of the best catches that you will see. You saw Caden Prather down the far sideline make a sliding over-the-shoulder catch as he went towards the out-of-bounds.
That was fantastic.
It was a beautiful catch. Great throw, too, from the quarterbacks in all 3 of those instances. So that was probably my biggest takeaway from a game that honestly didn't offer up a ton of highlight type of plays because of the way they managed it.
I was not at the game, so I cannot comment.
Well, your lifetime ban is continuing. They told you, don't you ever come back here, and it's nice to see that you're abiding by their rules.
Well, I do follow the rules. But this is, you normally think of spring practice, okay, it's the end of spring, Brad, it's the end of spring drills. But I think for coaches, it's not over yet because the portal does not close until May 1. And now, after spring, there's an evaluation. You got to figure at this school and every other school, there are players who now their position on the team is clearer after spring. So I would not be surprised if between now and May 1, there's not a flurry of entries into the portal. Now, if you're in the portal, you can still move around. If you're already in, you can still move around after May 1. But if you want to move around, you got to get in by May 1. Wouldn't you think you got to keep a close eye on the portal here? And coaches are going to be worried between now and May 1.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think you will see some movement. The question just is, who is the movement? Is it guys that are third or fourth on the depth chart that are leaving because they want to play more? Okay, we kind of all understand that. What you don't want is any big surprises. You don't need any Akeem Mesidor situations popping up here until you can get some sort of semblance of the roster locked so you know what you have. But listen, this team's going to change dramatically and look no further than the quarterback position. I mean, you're going to bring in a guy that's a can I say likely? I'll say likely starter for this team that wasn't on the field on Saturday and didn't go through spring practice. So it's going to look a lot different regardless of who enters over the next week or not.
And on that, Tony, if you're one of the 3 quarterbacks who for West Virginia right now, don't you think after spring and after competing every day and being in the meeting room and knowing those other players you're competing with that you know where you are?
Yes. Yes.
So doesn't that, and I'm connecting dots here that may not be connected. I would have to think that somebody is going to leave here pretty soon. I have no inside information, but I'm thinking you've competed with each other for 15 practices. You know each other. You got to know yourself.
You know.
They know. They always know. Players always know.
Players know.
Where you are, and there's other guys coming in who's probably going to be the starter.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
The
biggest surprise would be if none of them leave. That would be the biggest surprise.
Does anybody leave this week?
Well, May 1.
May 1.
Yeah. They'll put their name in this week.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's who goes, but where are you going? Because there's other pieces that are moving too, because other schools are doing that. So who has reached out, if anybody? What are your options if you enter? All that stuff is there. There's going to be some movement here the next few days.
And on the other side, West Virginia, right? They know what they need. They need a corner. They need a linebacker. Probably could use maybe another receiver. Don't know.
You'd probably take another lineman.
Another lineman.
Get an opportunity to get another lineman in there.
If you could get one. Yeah, if you could get one. Sure, absolutely. So, yeah. Speaking of comings and goings, Sean McNeil, now a member of the Buckeyes of Ohio State. Good move for Sean.
Why? Why do you say that?
Well, they'll go let him shoot the ball. You know, he didn't go down, right? He stayed Power 5. So, good move for him. See what happens there. Be interesting to see how that plays out.
I'm not familiar enough with who's at Ohio State now and who's not. I mean, does he start, or is he a guy that comes off the bench and shoots?
No idea. I have no idea what they got coming back or what the whole deal is.
Did you see Oklahoma had $75K at their game, at their spring game?
Yeah.
75,000.
Did you see that Barry Switzer is a member of a collective that said each Oklahoma football player will make between $40,000 to $50,000 annually?
Really?
Yep. Came out on Friday. He is part of a collective. They have raised the dollars.
So it's similar to when he was coaching.
No, but some guys will take a cut. Some guys will take a cut from when he was there. But the average annual salary prediction for Oklahoma football players going in the future will be between $40,000 to $50,000 a year.
Wow. Baker Mayfield may want to come back because he's kind of.
Did you see the statue in Baker Mayfield that was unveiled this weekend?
Didn't see the statue. I saw that there was a statue.
I didn't think it was good.
Really?
I didn't either.
I thought it was I'm thinking I was almost ready to text this when they put it out there because they were like real proud. What do you think? I think it was actually Pro Football Focus put out. Hey, what do you think of the Baker Mayfield statue? I wanted to say you should have contacted Jamie Lester. Like just go, here's his Jerry West, here's his Rod Hundley. I think he'd do a heck of a lot better job on Baker Mayfield. Plus, I struggle. There it is, Hoppy, on screen. You think that looks like Baker Mayfield?
It looks like Crazy Legs Gabby Johnson from
Crazy Legs
from the 1940s or something.
What do you think, Senator? You think that's like when you looked at that, if you didn't know that was Baker?
I thought it was more the face that got me.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, the pose. Okay, fine. It's kind of in a Heisman
football
pose. Well, it's
okay,
kind of the Heisman pose too, but the face didn't. I thought they could have got that a little bit.
I'm not a big statue guy for guys that are still playing and running around. I don't care if they won the Heisman. Do it later. I was shocked they have a statue already.
You get all flipped out about statues.
They got a statue of Baylor's.
He loses his mind.
Griffin.
Yeah,
really?
He's not playing. He won the Heisman.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, why can't you do it when you're 50? You got to get a statue.
Well, what's it matter? Why wait till you're 50? If you're going to put a statue up, put a statue up.
Statues are stupid.
Now, the problems come in when it's like a Gary Patterson statue, and now he's over there on Saturday wearing burnt orange out of the Texas tunnel.
Thank you. Plus, naming all these basketball courts all the time for these coaches that are still coaching. That's also so stupid. Dumb.
By the way, last year, Ohio State was top 41st nationally in three-point percentage shooting the ball. They shot it at a rate that was about mid-level in the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, be interesting to see how that thing plays out. You all ready?
Yep.
The preacher said from the pulpit, y'all ready? Can I get a textual healing from the congregation?
Texas. You know, like that song on Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing. Not a media song. Textual healing.
Ah, yeah.
Because I think this does cleanse for some. I think it
So, even though you were hiding yourself at the game on Saturday, did any Three Guys listeners come up to you?
Thanks for asking. Had a couple. Great to see him. Stan from Cannonsburg.
Oh.
Had a nice long talk with Stan.
Our Western Pennsylvania connection.
Yeah, he'll be a West Virginia guy. Lives in Cannonsburg now. Been there for a while. Kayla Mongold and her dad stopped and said hello. So it was very nice of him.
I think the beard is what people look for you now. That's about kind of becoming your Gordon Gee, got a big old bow tie. I think yours is the beard. When you say so, Hop?
Absolutely.
If on those days when I know Hoppy becomes scarce here soon, Stan may be able to fill in. He was pretty all over it. Might just call Stan. So Hop, you need a day off? Stan from Cannonsburg. He was on it.
I'll keep showing up.
Oh.
Especially since you're already lining up a replacement. I think I will keep showing up.
Don't take it personal.
Yeah, we got a guy. We got a guy.
Just trying to help. Load management. Don't overload you. Load management. Trying to help.
Okay, I'm going to announce a new project. I'm announcing a new project.
Okay.
I am personally going to meet and I'm going to work with David Saab, who created this song.
Yeah. What's your song?
I don't know. I'm just going to say, David, I don't care. We're doing a song because he has extended the invitation, and to do nothing with him would be disrespectful.
So we dropped the ball.
So we're going to do a song. I don't care what it's about. Corky the Clown, something, whatever you want to do.
No, I think it needs. Well, I need to give it some thought, too. I think I could help on that front.
My thought might be something like, remember the Three Stooges, the Curly Shuffle? It might be the Three Stooges Shuffle.
Maybe. I mean, give it a try. I mean,
maybe do the Three Stooges. But I don't know. I haven't had any extensive creative conversations with David to know if he's just a techno guy or could we go? I mean, is he a classically trained producer that could bring in horns and?
Well, based on what he gave you the first time around, I think he's
probably pretty competent.
Are you going to play your banjo or whatever the hell it is that you play?
It's a banjo, and I don't think it would be involved in the shuffle.
More like it was a country thing. Or
Texter, hi, three guys. Ellen in North Carolina. Listening to the episode with Jarrett Brown, listening to Brad talk about Rutgers all year. The 06 game kept replaying in my head. I was 10. It was my first game alone with my dad, and it was absolutely freezing. I barely remembered what happened on the field, but I was begging to leave in the fourth quarter, and we did. Only to listen to a very exciting win on the way home, and my dad reminding me what a good dad he was for missing it. It's the most memorable game of my life, and now I love a December game and haven't left early since, just in case. The best part of a Mountaineer game, even with a big win, sometimes has nothing to do with the result on the field. Anyways, just had to share since that game finally came up in all the Rutgers talk this year. Texter.
hello.
Lloyd Braun here. I heard you talking about going to Odessa, Texas to see Skylar Howard and the Warbirds play if they make the playoffs. I've traveled most of my life and many, many trips to the Midland, Odessa area. If you end up going, you just have to hit KD's Barbecue, which serves from the pit, for a meal located at Midland at 3109 Garden City Highway in Midland. Don't pay any attention to the outside of the building because it's dated. I promise you that you will end up going back just for the food. Also, I suggest the DoubleTree in Midland for lodging. That's 117 West Wall Street in Midland, Texas. In case you need the area code, it's 79701. You may want to drive by Permian High School, where the movie Friday Night Lights was depicted. That's a really, really good.
Very specific.
I mean, thanks so much for the zip code. We do appreciate that more than anything.
Have to stay for 5 days. We're going to do all
and
that.
I know what he's talking about. That pit barbecue, and you know this, Hoppy, in Texas. When the pit's open, man, you can just kind of walk around and pick. I'll take that sausage. I'll take some of that. You want a little bit, a little brisket. Good to see you. A big ear of corn.
Will you pay by
do
weight?
This, do that. Yeah,
pay by weight.
Yeah. I went to one of those this year in Fort Worth before the TCU game.
Pay by weight?
Pay by weight. Yeah. And I was paying no attention. And so
Shocker.
So when I got to the counter, like all these other people, you know, they like judiciously put their stuff together. I think I was like, sir, $39.30. That's hard to do in barbecue. Like to get $39 worth of barbecue. That's like they almost give you like a calf. Like here, just take the thing with you.
The last time I was at a barbecue place, and my wife is going, now what sides do you want your side? I said, forget about that. I'm going to give me one side. Give me one side, and otherwise I just want barbecue and one side. I'm not there for cream corn. I'm not there for
potato salad,
potato green. I mean, give me
baked beans,
maybe some baked beans,
bento
and
beans.
Don't try to pass that white bread off either. Don't want that.
Yeah, they always bring in that white. I don't want that. Just don't get that straight white bread.
I love sides. That's where I get into trouble.
But you don't do that straight white bread, do you?
I'd eat that too. You put it.
You
down.
eat that?
I'll put it down.
Like if she starts reaching over, and you know what's funny about that? They don't give you like one or two slices. They just seem like here's 32 slices of white bread. Like, no, man, just keep that. I'm good. Pastor Holly in Elkview writes, "Hey fellows, a couple ideas for summer guests. First, Andrew Caridi. People would love to hear his story." Nah, you really wouldn't. Really boring.
Could you interview Andrew?
He could interview anybody. Tony.
Yeah, I could interview him.
Yeah, but that'd be a challenge for him. I know he can interview anybody. Could you interview Andrew?
I could interview him. Yeah. I'd just be just like I'm normally with him. Dude.
Like
I've got him.
Normally are with
did I play you that stuff? We had some stuff of him, Hoppy, when he was the twins, when they were 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah.
I interviewed him. Make you pee yourself. They for some reason they memorized play-by-play. Well, they memorized the end of the 98, so they were 3 years old. They memorized the end of the 98 West Virginia Cincinnati game and verbatim had the play-by-play down.
Oh, really?
Verbatim. And then they, for some reason, why did they know those NBA players?
Video game.
So they were watching video games. They knew all NBA players. So Brad would get with them, and he'd go like,
it was the asbestos year. So
Okay,
he'd bring them over to the office. We were out on Collins Ferry Road. I mean, I can picture this like it was yesterday. So he'd bring them over and say, hey, I got the So I'd hop over there like just giddy. And I'd say, can you give me the names of 3 L.A. Clippers? And I'll always remember this because I said that one because they were hard names.
Yeah.
And they would instantly bust it off. Eric Piakowski, Michael Olowokandi. I would cackle every time. They were like itty bitty. How old were they? 3?
well, in 2000 they'd be 5.
Little, just teeny tiny. Eric Piakowski.
They talk like this. I got it on tape.
Little teeny tiny saying Michael Olowokandi.
Knew the Clippers.
Eric Piakowski. Yeah, so Andrew would be fun to do. He's an interesting dude. I'll tell you that much. So Pastor Holly says, second, I'm not sure you could do this, but a mystery guest sometime that's left the school and entered the portal. This could help understand the reason and the process of the portal. Just a couple ideas I think could be interesting. Yeah. The mystery portal guest.
Ooh.
Like black them out there, fuzz them out on the video.
Yeah.
Or have the
Voice changer. Yeah.
I transfer.
Yeah.
I would transfer. West Virginia.
Let's go, my ears. Oh, joining us by Scooby-Doo. Ruh-roh. Gentlemen, I really enjoyed the Monday's 3 Guys with Casey Legg. Thank you for your kind and generous treatment. Oh, it's his dad, Paul Legg. By the way, I'm a big fan of all your shows. I listen most often to the podcast. Very convenient way to enjoy the shows. Thank you, Paul. We appreciate that. I don't think I've ever met him.
Met him at the state tournament.
Did you?
Yes, very nice gentleman.
Awesome.
Very nice. Well, the fruit doesn't fall from the tree.
You did it.
Son's a nice
you done real good, Paul. You and the missus with raising old Casey.
He banged that extra point in there Saturday, too. He looked good.
Yeah, he used that swing technique.
That was the one after Sam James probably didn't need to be demonstrative there.
What did he do?
That's that kid that he was imitating the kid from the Ole Miss Mississippi State Egg Bowl when he.
Did he really do that?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, why'd he do that? I saw that. I saw
got
it.
flagged in a spring game. Official came over pointing.
He did that?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I was looking down.
He
I
did
didn't
do that.
see what he did.
So they backed the extra point up, which there's not other players on the field, Hoppy. It was just like kicking the extra point afterwards. I mean, Casey hammered it. Looked good.
Well, I saw him in the shell, and he was crushing it.
Old
Of course,
school.
that's
hey, old school reference. Shell. You saw him in the show.
Is that what you just said?
Yeah, saw him in the show.
What is it? What is it then?
Indoor practice facility.
The Caperton Indoor Practice Facility.
The Shell
over on the other
Shell's
campus.
by the Coliseum.
Shell's next to the Coliseum.
Well,
and
Tony,
that doesn't...
you shut up because you said indoor practice for basketball.
Oh, he's getting testy. Good. Isn't it time for you to leave? Ben in the Bentown. Hi, 3 Guys. Y'all have to have Jarrett Brown at the $100 a plate dinner giving out haircuts. If Hoppy's there, please count me in. Nothing else to add. Thanks for the great interviews.
Good idea.
Yeah, the Jarrett Brown interview certainly is making news. P1, Jason in Dallas. Hey, guys. I'd absolutely love a Pac-Man Jones interview. When Adam was with the Bengals, he really got into golf. I'd love to hear how his game's coming along. I think being a professional athlete would be an advantage, but that's anecdotal, not scientific. I had History 101 with Adam, Chris Henry, and none other than Phil Fake Punt Brady. What would have been the line on a futures bet for, out of those 3, the punter to be the one with a game-winning play in a BCS bowl? I'm sure the payout would have been, yeah, pretty good. Not to go all Perry Mason on Hoppy, but during the last episode, he mentioned that he can never remember anything. If that's true, and if it pleases the court, I'd like to know how Hoppy can be sure that Dave Pash, in fact, received a $10 Boston Beanery gift card instead of a $5 gift card. Sincerely, Doubting Thomas.
I can't recall.
I think he got you there.
Because every time I see Pash, he reminds me of it.
Yeah, I know. That's really sad to see. Hate to see it come to that. He makes a wonderful point.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Who thought the biggest play would come from Phil Brady?
It was a good
Most
play.
memorable. Pat from Wheeling writes in, greetings, Tony, Brett, Hoppy. The guests on the summer series have all been excellent. I really enjoy the podcast. the immense talent and professionalism all of you three always find a way to shine through the clown show aspect. Your interviewing prowess and kind treatment of your guests are evident every time. Tony, knowing your desire to always strive to improve, here is a suggestion. When you do your impression of Dana, which I hope you will never stop doing, you should try to throw in an occasional throat-clearing attempt that always sounded like snots yakking on a turkey bone. Yeah, pretty good. Keep up the good work, guys. I mean, yeah. I mean, Dana could have probably had an NIL deal with Mucinex. Probably could have done that. Max in Iowa City. Listening to the podcast, I'd like to correct Hoppy on his Iowa State claims. Iowa State does not play the University of Iowa at Ames. The game will be indeed in Iowa City. I was surprised that we didn't hear Brad start cheering when Hoppy said the incorrect info. Being that Brad seems to love to overhype Iowa State. I may be biased against Iowa State, but I do say, even though I participated in 4 backyard brawls in hockey, scored in 2 of them, I'd like to add, and definitely didn't enjoy the kids from that school up north, during my time in Iowa, I find people from that school outside of Des Moines to be worse. Anyways, I saw a tweet that Ollie Jennings and Austin Kendall were at the spring game. Any truth to that, or am I being duped on Twitter? Go Mountaineers, Max. So for the record, Max.
Real quick, first of all, I'd like to say welcome to the show, Max. Obviously, first show we listened to. If he gave me the defense of Iowa State,
Max, he hammers Iowa State. He always has hammered Iowa State. Like him hammering Iowa State, even though he grew up 40 minutes away, is like why people always find it surprising that I'm not a huge fan of Syracuse. Like people think, well, you went to school there. I don't care. But anyway, it's the same deal with him.
Max born in Iowa City, in fact. If that tells you where
you were.
Born in Iowa
I didn't
City.
know that.
Wait a minute, I'm looking at it again.
Here, I'll do this good.
Oh, here we
Max
go.
has Hoppy
Johnny
off
defensive over here.
Iowa at
what are you looking at? You're just on some search. You're not. Go to the school's webpage. What are you on? I don't know what that is.
I'm showing it to you.
No one follows that goofy schedule that Google puts out there.
Yeah, go to the school's website.
I'm going to the school.
I mean,
go to cyclones.com.
I mean, for such a big J journalism guy, you just go the first thing that pops up. Oh, hey, look at this.
Hey, look, it's a Nairobian prince, and I'm a millionaire.
My man's got 19 journalism degrees, and he just took the first thing. Oh, what do I have here?
Hey, listen, I'm preoccupied. I had to send some of my checking account information to somebody.
Got a doctorate. He's got a doctorate in his office there, big hanging.
Honorable PhD.
Same thing. If they give you the big frame with the sash and the whole deal there, that's a big deal.
I will say this, speaking of Iowa State, their poor fan base losing its mind collectively.
Did he go to Kansas?
He didn't go yet, but he's looking at Kansas. Tyrese Hunter.
Oh, my gosh.
The game's at...
and if Nigel Pack, if the going rate's $400 a year, which it right? Did you read that tweet from the guy at Miami that's paying the bill?
Yes.
Announced on Twitter he gave him an $800,000 2-year deal to Nigel Pack.
2-year deal.
2-year commitment to Nigel Pack. Yeah. Am I doing the math right? That'd be 400
times 2, 800
K per year.
Yeah. What'd you say, Hop?
The game's at Iowa City. I apologize for the error.
That helped you. You learned from it. You grew. You don't take the first listing that comes out. Go to the school's website. They normally have it down.
Well, I apologize. I stand corrected. I was wrong.
Yep. You don't want to go to Johnny Mouth Breather, who does the Iowa State message board. He probably had it wrong. 3 guys before the...
Well, never mind. I had it wrong. Forget it. Made a mistake.
3 guys before the game is brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Visit them at burdettcamping.com. I talked to Zach from Burdett Camping and had a conversation with him going into the stadium on Saturday.
Oh, very nice.
All systems go at Burdett Camping. I asked him about inventory. He gave me double thumbs up.
No problems there.
They got them. They're rolling. Let's go. So whatever it might be that you need, remember this. They're the only dealer in West Virginia that offers you, when you purchase, a warranty forever. That's kind of a big deal. The warranty forever. Check them out at burdettcamping.com. burdettcamping.com, located in Winfield. Also a huge supporter of the West Texas Warbirds of the Arena League, of which Skylar Howard is the starting quarterback.
Did they I couldn't find a score.
Off for a couple of weeks. A little bit of a sabbatical before they resume play. It's an 8-game schedule, Hop. You don't want to get them all in too early.
Did you watch any of the USFL?
Not this weekend. I did not. No.
Did you?
No.
No.
Well, 2 or 3 plays, and I couldn't. But the NBA playoffs were on at the same time, and so
checked out.
That got my attention. You?
No, locked in on playoffs in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. Okay.
Next text. In addition to WVU sticking up for Jerry the Logo West, the NBA should step up. I think one could argue that they've had even more of a moral obligation to go to bat for not only one of their own, but also one of their most honored and decorated. So he'd like to see someone from the league come out and say something.
Hasn't been any. I haven't seen any development since the letter from West's attorney, and then reaction to that. Haven't seen much since then.
Joel from Atlanta. Jamal Adai goes to Georgia. Tyke Smith follows. Adai leaves for Miami. Mesidor and Porter Jr. follow. Maybe these players are getting their offers while still Mountaineers. What say you? If true, an alum poaching the herd is despicable. This can't be coincidence, right? I love the show daily while driving in Atlanta traffic. Or glad that we can be of help to you.
Well, I think we've talked a lot about this. There's no evidence that anybody has seen of poaching. A lot of dots out there, but we've talked about this a lot. I mean, what are the rules? We know what the rules are, but who's following the rules? So who knows?
Yeah, here's the rules. Miami's going to play Kansas State transfer basketball player Nigel Pack, $400,000 a freaking year.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's a 2-year deal. $800,000 in 2 years. Thank you. That's the rule. Those are the new rules. Garrett from Alaska.
But here's what's interesting.
Sure.
Not only are they doing that, which is interesting in and of itself, $400K, first team all conference, that's a going rate. They publicize it. I mean, that's the world you're in now.
Yeah.
For decades, that has been so far under the table. You had to really dig down to get it. Now it's publicized.
Publicized. It's advertisement.
Here it is.
Yeah. Garrett from Alaska. After you all take this show on the road to Odessa in your Burdette camping RV, I suggest make your way up to Alaska. The drive through Canada is beautiful. On the note of Burdette camping, my wife, yes, the one who had called you idiots but has since apologized, asked me, who is this Bernadette Campy they're talking about all the time? Bernadette Campy. Sometime, summertime guest idea, you all should invite the younger Caridi broadcast star from ESPN for a chat. Like, what? What's he got, PR people working for him?
Now at the free throw line, Bernadette Campy.
Maybe Taylor or someone else there may be able to get that worked out. We'll have to see. We'll have to talk to Andrew. See, Andrew, could you be available? Come in the 3 guys. Lastly, for all of us that have wives that call you idiots, we want 2 shows a week in the summer. Make Brad's contract work. Keep up the outstanding summer series, and let's go Mountaineers. Yeah.
Brad's holding out.
We'll get into some stuff there. We'll have to talk about that. Texter, 3 guys, please use your partial ownership to correct the West Texas Warbirds roster website for Skyler. Thank you. The 3 guys GI Doc. Did they not correct that?
Yeah, well, I thought that we talked about that last week on the air. Well, I haven't followed up. I'll follow up. It was on.
Take a look.
It was on the agenda of the last ownership meeting. It was discussed directly with them.
They've got it as University of West Virginia. Should be.
It should be W Virginia.
WVA. All right, here we go. Hello, Paul in Charleston by the way of Oak Hill. I want to express my gratitude to one Taylor Kennedy. I have known Taylor since he was a tot, running around our church during Mothers of Preschoolers. I watched that young lad as an 8th grader at Bible Center win a semifinal middle school basketball tournament against my son's Cross Lanes Warriors team. Taylor did a fine cartwheel across center court in jubilation.
What?
Sweet mercy.
He did a what?
Did a cartwheel. That cartwheel has haunted me just like the 13-9 Pitt game. I admit I have harbored ill feelings toward that cartwheel. Since you gents have been in the textual healing business, I've been able to let it go, so it's time to come to Tyler's defense. He deserves better. I could tell your angst during the Jarrett Brown interview, and you unfavorably chastised Taylor for scheduling. I loved the interview. Felt like I was in a barbershop, watching JB perform his craft as I did when at Mountaineer Field during his playing days. You guys need to remember what took you to the top of the podcast world: spontaneous interviews and lack of production meetings. Remember Owen Schmidt taking a time out to relieve himself, the center with his spontaneous Will Wade rants, and now JB coming in high and tight, asking the customer, "Are you scared?" to the response of, "Nah, he's good." Fellas, you've been hanging out with the professional too long. His retaining wall must be doing well, as he has not missed any shows lately. He is starting to affect you guys. Don't turn this into a morning coffee talk show. Keep it real, fellas. Keep it real. Well done, Tyler, Taylor. Keep up the good work. Love the show. Thank you for covering Les Mountaineers.
They still have University of West Virginia.
There's a lot there in that text. Most frightening, as he said, is
A long text.
Taylor doing a cartwheel. I
wouldn't think the athleticism was there for that.
I would think he would also say he attempted to do a cartwheel and was seriously injured.
I just know this. Whomever Taylor and Andrew are using for their PR people, that's what I'd like, because 1/3 of the text today we're praising those two.
Yeah, really.
We need to make a call, find out what's happening there.
I guarantee you.
You know how a child does a cartwheel? Same way. Like you start and you actually just sort of do a round off.
I was never able to do one. I bet you could do one. You could do a
Yeah,
cartwheel
I'm not
in
sure.
your
Yeah, I
prime.
could do one.
In your
Sure.
prime, you could, Senator. What
Sure.
about
No.
you? Excuse me?
No. Couldn't and certainly cannot.
Really? You, as athletic as you are?
Could not ever do one.
Interesting.
And certainly not now.
I'm going to practice.
Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the Caesars Sportsbook, giving our first bet insurance for all new users on up to $1,100. So you download the app, you use the promo code radio CZR, and then you place your first bet. If you win, awesomeness to you. But if not, you'll get your wager back as a free bet. Now's the perfect time to place your first bet. Now, people, the NBA playoffs, baseball, hockey heating up. Never too early to start thinking about le football or your futures wagers on football. So go ahead and get started. Caesars Rewards, every bet you place. Tickets, free stays, experiences, and more. You build those points. You must be 21, physically present in West Virginia. New users only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. All games are regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. So.
Could you do a cartwheel? You couldn't.
Hell no.
Heck, Hoppy, I didn't handle the law school steps well on Saturday.
Really?
That's hard.
It's a lot of steps.
Jeez.
I mean, it's a ton.
I mean, I didn't stop. Did it in one continuous motion. I was proud of that.
Well, because you're very, very strong-willed, and you're not going to be the guy who stopped halfway up going, I got to stop, because everybody sees you.
Maybe could have used a stop. I mean,
Very good point, Hoppy.
Who's the guy that's stopping?
Like when that says something about your entire life. When the day comes that you stop
completely.
Yeah, really.
Right? When the day comes that you stop in the middle of the steps going up the law school hill, that changes everything in your life. That is an admission that my life is pretty much straight downhill from here.
No, it's an admission that your life has entered a different phase. Let me put, and also,
I'm in a different phase. I'll just tell you that right now.
To cover for it, if you're huffing and other people walk by, they're still walking, and you go, "Whew, that's a long walk."
That's what I did.
Yeah,
I was.
You made casual conversation.
It's exactly how I handled it. Had casual conversation the whole way up, but then thought I got to stop talking to you now because that's making it harder.
No, I'm with you, dude. Like.
I knew it.
You know who beats himself up on that hill? Scott Rotruck. Did I ever tell you that? Hop, you know
What?
Scott.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Scott's been around for years and the whole thing.
He's in good shape.
Great. Well, you know why?
As he does the steps?
Yeah, he beats him. He goes up and down steps like 10 times. I saw him one day. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Going over to my torture pit." I said, "Hey, really? How many times you go up and down the steps there?" He goes, "About 10, 12. Like, I'm going to go up the steps.
And he's a big guy.
Oh, yeah.
It gets the heart rate up.
He's also a rock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's just a rock. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah, that is a change of life. When you have to stop on the steps, that's saying a lot of different things. It's saying a lot of different things. I'm with you. Strong-willed, I would say, no frickin' way.
Stop.
I'm going to be on my frickin' knees going up before I stop moving.
So I didn't break stride.
No.
It wasn't a fast stride, but I did not break stride.
Now, when you get to the very top, though, you give it a couple like a bull. You blow out
but
a couple
I also
times.
didn't stop there.
Oh, you didn't?
No, wasn't going to stop and go hands on knees. Just kept motoring right to the car. Just kept motoring right to the car. Still people around Kirchhoff. No, I didn't even pause. No. Nope. No hands on the hip. No outward sign of struggle. Nope. Kept moving. Kept moving.
All right. So, so we have a we have to have a three guys meeting. As everyone knows, we're completely.
I just broke out into a sweat too doing that. That's not good.
As everyone knows, we're completely transparent in this show. So, spring ball's over. That's our signal when we go to one show a week. At this point, that is the plan. I'm not necessarily going to say it's going to be just one a week. I'm not saying it's going to be two a week, every week. We're just going to, here's what I want you to do, folks, if you're listening in. Subscribe, okay? If you haven't yet, subscribe so that when we do them, you'll get notified and they won't get lost. But we got a lot of guests lined up. We just need to do some things here and figure out some things. Does that sound fair?
Subscribe would be the best advice. Yeah, because schedules are going to get jacked up here a little bit.
Yeah. Hoppy.
Yes, sir.
Going to Mozambique.
I'm around. I'm in. I'm in. I'm not going anywhere.
All summer?
Oh, here and there. But mostly I'm in. I mean, the vet, I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in.
That's cool.
Except for these dates.
Now we'll keep in some form and fashion. I think this.
You're the one that's going to be gone.
I will be gone a lot. But you guys can do it without me.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, you can.
Let's talk about it off podcast.
Hoppy, this is a transparent
show. Are we not off
show.
air now? Are we off air? Is this recording?
Hoppy, this is a transparent. This is a transparent show. I mean, we'll figure it out, man. We'll figure it out. I think we'd be quite honest with you. We could just do shows. Besides guests, we could do shows of just questions. Shorter shows, but we could do shows.
I would do that. I would do shows of the top issues of the day. There's always stuff going on, and anything we want to bring to the table. There's stuff we didn't bring to the table today, and do it for 30 minutes instead of an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, 30-minute works well. That works well. We usually hold well to time limits.
Yeah.
There are no rules.
There comes some more Andrew Caridi love. This is a text. This is another text that someone just literally texted my phone. And this is a good one here. Wow. Where have I been? I didn't know Andrew was your son. Congratulations. So now he's got people coming into my phone. He's got people write stuff for him.
That's unbelievable.
Somebody waiting outside your house.
I always thought that Andrew was Don Cricky's son.
He's probably doing the NBA playoff game tonight with the kind of agent he's got.
Three guys brought to us by
NBA playoff.
Our guest on the Tonight Show tonight, Andrew Caridi.
Starring alongside The Rock in the latest movie.
The only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia by Comax Business Systems, full-service Conicum and Ulta dealer.
Appearing in Rent on Broadway.
Go to Comax Business Systems at comaxwv.com. And by the Caesars Sportsbook. Download, get started, risk-free bet of up to $1,100.
Democrat nomination for president.
All right.
Quarterback for the Cleveland Browns.
Along with Ernest Biner.
NFL draft is Thursday.
That's
Look
right.
for Andrew to be the number one pick.
All right, we be out. See y'all. Be good.